So I did this last night, and then my fan destroyed the audio. I didn't realize how bad it was. So I'm gonna suffer in a really warm room. Um, I play Destiny 2. I know, how shameful. Tarkov has not been doing too good. I'm waiting on the Tarkov wipe, which should be in August, I believe. On top of that, Tarkov is not the only thing I do or play. But it was for like 9 months because Destiny sucked. Before that, I only played Destiny 2. And before Destiny 2, it was just Destiny 1 and The Division. So make of that what you will. But this is a little late, by like 2 weeks. But it isn't exclusive to the game mode that I'm going to be drawing some of my experience from. So before the recent major expansion of the final shape, Destiny 2 released a free-to-play update called Into the Light. Into the Light brought with it a game mode called Pantheon, which I would really like to see come back in the future. From the month it ran, it was pretty fun. It was very very incentivized to do, sorry. It was fun. It freshened up some old raid encounters that, for the most part, were pretty stale or kind of too easy. And it also forced people to do Riven legitimately, and I think that's hilarious. Um, for those who may not be in the know, Riven is a raid boss from Last Wish, the oldest raid currently in Destiny 2, excluding the reprised Destiny 1 raids in release order anyway. So it is the oldest original Destiny 2 raid that's still in the game. Riven is the final boss, and most people would just completely ignore her mechanics entirely and just out damage her white mechanic because that is still possible. Still possible. You can just completely out damage her white mechanic, which should, in theory, kill everyone. But you can just ignore it and kill her before it happens. So then you're forced into what is called her final stand. This is pretty bog standard for a lot of the bosses. And then you just kill her. So you can completely ignore her mechanics. But she does have a way that she's supposed to be done, essentially. Um, it's a lot of stuff to really boil down. It's a lot more complicated than it sounds. Doing it is easier than not doing it, in my opinion. I'm tired of shit. Anyway, Pantheon. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Pantheon forced people to do Riven by doing her mechanics. It was pretty hard to just ignore them and kill her outright. It also made Nezarec difficult, which is shocking. I don't think that's ever a sentence I'd think of. Nezarec, of all raid bosses, being hard. Yeah, pretty pretty funny. So the gist of Pantheon is that it's a raid gauntlet. Basically, you fight a boss, then you fight a boss, then you fight a boss. You're just fighting raid bosses, encounter after encounter. It offered you loot from every raid that was in the specific Pantheon. On top of this, it was a fantastic source for red border weapons, so craftable weapons. If you were like me and you maybe just didn't have a whole lot of red borders, or maybe didn't raid enough, or buy them that often, or do the red border chests a whole bunch. So I didn't have a whole lot of the wade weapons. I didn't have a whole lot of the wade weapons. I didn't have the raid weapons crafted for the most part, barring one or two of them. So with Pantheon, I rounded out all of them pretty much in only like 2 or 3 weeks. And I only played one character. I don't know if it applied to every character. So you have 3 clears a week, which would be nothing but red borders, more or less, which is crazy. It's an insane amount. Not to mention, again, you can buy everything from those raids in that specific week of Pantheon from the end chest as well, as if it was like a normal clear. Um, so it had, I think it was King's Fall, Deep Stone Crypt, Last Wish, Root of Nightmares, and I want to say there's another raid in there that I'm forgetting, maybe. No, that was it. So yeah, most of the bosses from all of those raids. And as the weeks progressed, more bosses got added, but it was a selectable mode. So we started with week 1, which is Atrax Sovereign, which also had a -5 power disadvantage, and that went up by 5 every week. So From Atrax Sovereign, it was -5. Oryx Exalted, it was -10. Rolk Indomitable, -15. And then with Nezarec Sublime, it was -20, which is basically contest mode. The loot, again, very incentivized to run this. You got a bunch of spoils as well, which is really nice. You could farm it. So even if you had completed that week on that character, you could still go back in and help your friends and get loot or LFG with people and just clear out or farm specific encounters, which was very useful for farming spoils specifically if you needed those like I did, and for farming armor and weapons if you needed those like I did. But, and this is the issue, Fireteam Finder. Fireteam Finder kinda sucks. And this isn't a Pantheon exclusive thing, mind you. But, oh, it wasn't good. So, Fireteam Finder is the in-game looking for group feature that was added at some point. I don't even know. I took a break from the game at this point in time, so I wasn't around when this got added. But it had to have been fairly recent, before or during Season of the Wish, before I started playing again. Basically, the concept is players can go to the Fireteam Finder from level 5, so they've gotten like ropes. Like they've gotten to get the ropes of the game, right? Like they kind of understand what's what. Or at least they should at least start to understand what's what. And from here, you can either search for a listing. So for example, I hit search, I go to raids, Salvation's Edge. And here we have a bunch of people who are doing Salvation's Edge. You know, they want to get the new raid done. As you can see, there's literally a lot of posts actually, and quite a substantial amount of people here trying to get this raid done. Crota Z or Word of Nightmares. Crota again. You can see a lot of people here trying to get this raid done. And the idea is you click a post, you can look at what the post is asking. So final checkpoint, experience requested. So application required, so you have to wait for the owner of the post to look at you and go, okay, you can join. Mic required. Minimum Guardian rank, 7. We have a bit of a problem here, though. So first of all, literally no one fucking reads these titles, like, at all. Not even slightly. The amount of times I've clicked on Crota's End, and I've seen people, I wonder if I can actually find one here. I know. But sometimes I've clicked on these and people be like, 8th checkpoint. What 8th checkpoint? Crota only has 4 checkpoints. What do you mean 8th checkpoint? So people will just put whatever, and most people will just straight up ignore what is put there. And another thing, again, if I just hit Crota's End and I look for one that says minimum Guardian rank, this doesn't matter. I bet if I join this right now, actually, I'll be able to see a bunch of the players, and they'll probably be below a rank 6. See, yeah, this guy's rank 5. Right here, rank 5. This guy just started. He's rank 5. Okay. It doesn't filter out people who are lower level. And this is kind of the problem. Lower level players, mostly newer players to the game in general, is what I meant to say, aren't going to understand what a raid even is, or how to raid. And this pretty bad, because they're going to have a very unpleasant experience with people like me, who, if I'm asking for a fast clear with experience requested, I'm not going to sit there and teach you. I don't have a problem with newer players getting into this kind of content. I don't think this is content that should be gatekept. Raids aren't hard in Destiny. Anyone who tells you that a raid is hard is stupid. They are dumb. They are completely idiotic. The only time a raid is hard is if it's master or contest mode. Most newer players aren't going to be doing that. The only raid that I can verifiably say is difficult by design is the new raid, Salvation's Edge, and I haven't even really done that raid yet. I got the first encounter, and we got filtered by it. Even though we kind of understood how to do it, by the end of it, we were just exhausted. I had been up for a full day at that point. I was already really tired. We kind of understood we just weren't going to get far with it, so we just called it quits until reset today. So I'm hoping later on, some of my buddies get on, try it, right? But everyone starts somewhere with a raid, and I don't think it's fair to a newer player to allow them to be able to join posts like, any of these here. And I don't think it's fair to experienced players who might just want to get a raid done fast for them to end up with lower level or newer players who may not understand how to do a raid or what a raid is, because it ends up wasting everybody's time, and nobody likes when their time is wasted. And it's not really fair to a newer player to be forced into, first of all, a system they're not going to understand, but an activity they won't understand with a bunch of people who are going to be a bunch of assholes to them, frankly. Because I know I would be. And this is the part that I don't understand about Fireteam Finder. It's designed in a way where it's supposed to incentivize players, regardless of at what point in the game they're at, to join together and do things, right? It's a good way to socialize, if anything. But it's also a way for, players who may not have a consistent group to find groups to do things with. But again, this is open to lower level or newer players, which causes a problem because most of the time the toxicity isn't going to come from the average Joe who just wants to get Crota done. It's going to come from the super experienced, want to get shit done fast, I like to use all these skips type people. We're going to shit on newer players for not understanding the raid, and I'm going to shit on a newer player if I don't want my time wasted. And Pantheon was a showcase that this isn't designed in a fair way, not to a newer player and not to the experienced player. The amount of newer players who have never done a raid before and weren't willing to learn, who didn't have microphones, who just ignore my post requirements and shit is insane. And Pantheon, especially the later ends, like -15, -20, is not a teaching experience. It's not a teaching experience, frankly. And contest mode raids, you really have to be experienced in raiding and coordinated with the team you're playing with to get that shit done. It's not like a thing to bring a newer player into. So my point is, I keep repeating that it's not fair. My point is that realistically, for lower level players or players with a certain amount of playtime in the game, they should be filtered into a special kind of Fireteam Finder, where higher level players who specifically make looking to help posts are the people they get filtered into, right? So if I just start the game, right, I have 10 hours, I'm level 5, I've never done a raid before, I don't even know what a raid is, and I look that shit up on Fireteam Finder, I should only see looking to help, looking to help, looking to help, teaching, right? I should only see teaching, looking to help posts. And those are the only posts that at that point I should be able to join until I've met a specific threshold of raids completed in full, or a specific threshold of time played, or whatever, right? Or a specific level in terms of Guardian rank. And Guardian rank is not respective of skill or a showcase of skill. I've met many people who are Guardian rank 6 or rank 5 who are way better than I am. But it is usually indicative that someone is newer to the game, as is commendation score. So I'm just saying, I don't think newer players should be able to join, more experienced players just openly like this. They should specifically be looking to help those newer players for them to be able to join those experienced players in those posts, because it becomes a headache after a certain while when you ask people if they know what they're doing and one guy doesn't pipe up, and then you get halfway into the raid, or you start the raid and then you can immediately tell that one or two of the guys don't know what they're doing, and you just don't want to teach them because it's a fast clear. The post said it'd be fast, you just want to get it done with. The amount of times I've gone into a raid and I just want to get it done, but people don't know what they're doing, it's just miserable. I don't want to teach people all the time. Again, I have no problem teaching people if they're just honest about it from the get-go, or if the post specifically states they're teaching someone, or whatever. I don't mind. But most of the time, I really don't want to. I shouldn't be forced to teach you a raid, especially when there's the internet. There's videos and articles and everything, Reddit posts about how to do specific encounters and full raids in full. The internet is wonderful, and people still don't use it. Raiding is great in this game, and I genuinely think the new players should get into raiding. If you've never tried to raid before, if you're a solo player with thousands of hours in this game and you've never raided before, honestly, give Fireteam Finder a try. As shit as it is, you will eventually find a good team. And if you're new to the game, make a post and specifically state that it's your first time, that you want to be taught, and you're looking for a guide. And you will get plenty of people who are willing to help you, who will take pride in helping you. Because if you just join people who are going fast clear, optimizing strategy, meta loadouts required, and you expect them not to be an asshole to you, well, frankly, that's on you. But also, you end up wasting your own time, and again, the time of 5 other people, which, I don't know, man. I don't think that's okay. I just wish people were a little bit more capable of processing thought before they join things, reading the posts, but I also wish that the game incentivized people to help a little more and push newer players into an area where they will be helped rather than, well, they'll be a nuisance, or where they will be a nuisance. I can't speak, apparently. It creates a very toxic and unfun system, both for newer players that will discourage them from raiding, and also for experienced players that will discourage them from trying to be helpful, from trying to help people. Because, I mean, if I got like a shader or something for helping people out, I mean, I'd do it. You know, like, oh, extra loot for helping someone who, is getting their first clear. That's cool, right? Like, oh, that's really sick. Like, if I was offered like 30 spoils for helping someone get their first clear of a raid, I'd help way more people, to be honest. But there's no incentive to help people. And on top of that, it's not fun for them or for anyone else. And I would really like to see Fireteam Finder get a huge redesign, because it's also extremely unintuitive. It's so shit to use. Please let me type out what triumph I'm trying to do, at least. Because I want to get enlightened, I want to make a Garden of Salvation post, and I don't want to do doing triumph, and then have people go, oh, are we doing this triumph or this triumph? And then, like, have nobody, because nobody's trying to do the triumph I'm trying to do. I shouldn't have to go out of the game to get an LFG post specifically stating the triumph so I can get people. Because the only way you're going to be able to do that is by going to a Discord or something, and I want to be able to do it in-game, because the feature is there. It's just designed so terribly that I can't do it. So, I don't know. I wish Bungie let this cook a little more, because if they did, it would have been good. But they decided to release it, and it's shit. And I highly doubt it'll ever be changed in a way that'll mean anything, so it makes me very sad. I don't know. It's not fun for experienced players, it's not fun for newer players, and kind of just makes everyone an asshole.